Hey there, I'm Tyler and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to add 4 inches of capacity to the table saw for basically $0. We recently just kind of finished up a kitchen. I have some parts left for it right there. And in doing so, I realized I really would like a little bit more capacity on the table saw. So it hit me one day, I almost never put the saw on the left side of the blade. When I do, it's only just on the left side to do some miter cuts. So I want to try to index this whole bar down 4 inches, which will give me 36 inches of capacity to the right of the blade over here. Shouldn't be a big deal. We need to get this guy off. We need to drill a couple of holes where the bolts attach from there onto the table. I'm a little worried about getting them back into this thing, but we'll see how it goes. And then we got to put the new ruler on, need to make sure everything remains square and so forth. Okay, we are going to start by getting this guide rail off of here. It's a 9/16 wrench for me. Obviously, you want to make sure you have some Carolina shoes on there with toe guards so you don't crush your foot. These are the new Carolina lightweight shoes with an aluminum toe in them, protecting my feet at all times. You don't actually need to wear any toe protection for this, I don't think, but it sounded great. You can check out the link down in the description below. Get some Carolina shoes right now. You can get 15% off using the code DIYTyler15 until the 31st of this year. Check them out. I'm going to try not to lose any of the washers that I have in here because they do take into account the squareness of the fence when it's on there, so keep track of things. I don't know if you'll be able to see in here, but there's a bolt right there captive in that channel, and we need to get these 2 bolts off. These are what we're holding the bar onto the table saw. I was initially a little bit concerned about this, but it turned out to be no problem. I already got this one off. It actually looks a little bit bent, but I don't think that's a big deal. What I did was take the 2 nuts that were holding the bar onto the table saw, thread them both on, back the bottom one tight up against the top, and then back the whole thing out. Gonna go ahead and mark 4 inches down. That'll give us what we want. I'm going off the middle, kind of just eyeballing that. I hope it's not a mistake. Gonna go ahead and drill the holes, and then we'll try to slide those nuts underneath of where we need to attach the bolts again. I am going to drill through with a 1/8 bit, and then I'll come back with my 7/16, and that'll prevent the 7/16 from walking around as we drill. Kind of just tipped the whole thing and the nut slid right through, and it caught the shavings over here, and I was able to catch the other one, move them into place, and we can thread our bolts back in. And we will thread them back down the same way we pull them out. Good thing we had our safety toes on. This is the best I can come up with to measure the accuracy again. I used a dial indicator in the past when I set up this table saw, but I think it was one that I borrowed and not one of my own. So I don't remember how I attached the doggone thing. I have the dial indicator clamped on my miter gauge. I have it up against the fence. I have set it to 0. And then when I slide it down here, I'm seeing about 9 thou of difference from front to back. The good news is it is away from the blade. You certainly don't want the fence to be pinching against the blade. That'll cause burr marks and it will cause things to kick back at you. Now, I do think that 9 thou is a little bit much. Yeah, it's probably close to 10 at the very end there. I do think that I have that adjustment in the fence here instead of messing around with the guide that we just took off, but let's see. I'm going to move my dial indicator down here. Make sure it's snug, and then I'm going to go ahead and adjust these ever so carefully. That's the wrong way. And there we go. Ooh, not too much. That looks to be about 5 thou of difference right there. 4 thousandths, 5 thousandths. Yep. Four or 5 thousandths. Must have a little bit of a bend right here, which, looking at this fence, it's not in the greatest shape. It certainly works. But yeah, I think maybe right here we're kind of bent this way. Anyway, that looks fantastic. 4 to 5 thou from front to back. Perfect. Quick disclaimer. The reason that works is that I already know that the table saw blade is parallel to those miter slots. So I can then take the miter slots and make sure the fence is parallel to them and everything is all set up. I'm going to be using this Fast Cat product, which is a peel and stick ruler. It has its own double-sided sticky tape, and then the ruler, which is reversible, so you can go left to right or right to left. The plan is I'm going to get the fence out of the way, put the double-sided tape down, put the fence down here, and measure 5 inches away from the blade. I do have some adjustment built into the fence here, so if I don't have that 5 inches perfect, we can take care of that over here. We have 5 inches under the fence here, and we'll cut it out to about the 36 1/4 that we have on the end there. Make sure everything is stuck down. Then we'll run some test cuts and adjust the fence as needed to get perfectly where we want to be. Putting the fence up against the blade so I know approximately where 0 is, so I don't run tape all over the table saw if I don't need to. Fast Cat does not mess around with their double-sided tape. It is good sticky stuff. Don't get your fingers on it. I decided I'm actually only going to measure 2 inches away from the blade, so I don't have a lot of tape that I need to go over, as that will be very difficult. I'm kind of twisting it sideways here so that it doesn't get stuck on that tape yet. So there, we're fairly close to 2 inches right there, close enough. Again, we can adjust right in here when all is said and done. Cut that off, but I'm not going to throw it away because on the other side there is a right to left measurement, which will be perfect for something like I used on the miter saw right there. So we will stash this away for that time that I'm never going to use it. Going to do a quick sample cut here at 3 inches and see where we're at. So we were super close. I made some adjustments and now we are dead on. Right here, it looks like we were about a 32nd of an inch off, and we can make that adjustment right here on the fence. Everything is looking great on the table saw. I obviously haven't used the full extension yet, but everything seems true so far on our new ruler that we put down. The only problem is I'm thinking that this isn't such a primo idea right here. I think I am going to hip check that sometimes and it's not gonna feel good. So I made this fancy little doohickey. It is made out of the same cherry as this right here. Actually had a piece left over so I didn't have to mill it all down. And I'm gonna put that right there, and that'll provide some nice curvature so we don't hip check this aluminum bar every time we walk by. Rub a wee bit of sawdust in there so it looks like we had it this way from the get-go. All right, it worked out perfect. The only thing we had to buy was a new tape right here, plus a couple of bucks from Fast Cap, who makes all sorts of wonderful things for the wood shop. I haven't actually used it yet, and I won't use it that often, but when I need to, it'll be awesome. I need to put another coat or two of finish on our little hip protector right here, but it's looking pretty sweet right there. And I think this is gonna be great to have, like I said, when I actually need it. Big thanks to Carolina for sponsoring this video. You know, if you wanna subscribe and all that great stuff, awesome. I'm DIYTyler, and you guys have a good one.